A simple birthday video has now ignited a firestorm online. Mike Todd, a pastor known for his bold messages and vibrant persona, is under scrutiny, but this time it's not for a sermon. Critics are asking, is this really godly behavior? What was meant to be a joyful celebration has sparked controversy, judgment, and questions that go far beyond social media likes. And what you're about to see may completely change how you view one of the most influential pastors of our time. You won't believe what happened next. It started as a celebration, a birthday video meant to honor Pastor Mike Todd, one of the most influential voices in modern church leadership. But what seemed like a harmless glimpse into a personal moment quickly spiraled into controversy, sparking debate across social media, news outlets, and faith communities worldwide. People began asking questions. Was this behavior appropriate for a pastor? Did this cross the line of what is considered godly? In this video, we're diving deep into the incident, exploring the reactions, the criticisms, and the unseen context behind the video that has everyone talking. You won't just hear about the controversy. You'll see the layers of judgment, faith expectations, and public scrutiny that come with being a high-profile pastor. From shocking insider details to the unexpected fallout, this story is more than a viral video. It's a reflection of the pressures, expectations, and moral debates that surround modern religious figures. By the end, you'll understand why this seemingly simple birthday moment became a major conversation starter, and why some are questioning what it really means to be godly in today's world. But before we reveal the full extent of the controversy, let's rewind and look at the video itself. The moment that sparked an online storm and left millions asking, what was he thinking? It all began with a simple post, a birthday video intended to celebrate Pastor Mike Todd's special day. On the surface, it seemed innocent. Laughter, smiles, and an intimate glimpse into the life of one of the most influential pastors in modern ministry. But as soon as the video circulated online, reactions came flooding in, fast, polarized, and intense. A Dairos-style insider perspectives revealed that what many saw as a joyful celebration carried undertones that sparked widespread debate. Some viewers praised the authenticity and warmth, saying it humanized a leader often seen as larger than life. But others were less forgiving, arguing that certain moments within the video were inconsistent with what they expected from a spiritual leader. Questions arose. Were some gestures inappropriate? Did the video blur the line between personal expression and pastoral responsibility? Social media exploded with opinions. Twitter threads dissected every frame, Instagram posts shared screenshots and commentary, and TikTok users weighed in with rapid-fire reactions. The controversy wasn't just about a birthday. It became a symbolic debate about accountability, transparency, and what constitutes godly behavior for someone in a position of spiritual influence. Meanwhile, within faith circles, discussions were heated. Some members defended Mike Todd, emphasizing the human side of pastors who are under constant scrutiny. Others expressed disappointment, feeling the video contradicted the principles they expected from church leadership. The division was clear and the emotional stakes were high. A pastor's personal moments had become public debate, and his followers were divided. For Mike Todd, the video wasn't just a social media post. It was a lightning rod that tested his influence, reputation, and the very perception of his ministry. What seemed harmless to some was deeply concerning to others, and the questions it raised went far beyond the screen. How much freedom should a pastor have in private life? Where do we draw the line between celebration and conduct? And as the reactions continued to pour in, the story didn't stay contained. It spread, gaining attention from news outlets, talk shows, and online commentators who dissected every detail. Suddenly, what began as a birthday celebration had morphed into a national conversation about faith, leadership, and the expectations placed on spiritual figures. But the most shocking part wasn't the video itself, it was the aftermath. The backlash, the private messages, and the unseen pressures that began to mount behind the scenes revealed a side of ministry rarely discussed publicly, and what happened next would escalate the situation beyond anything anyone could have predicted. The moment Mike Todd's birthday video went public, the reactions were immediate, overwhelming, and often unforgiving. What many had intended as a celebration became a lightning rod for criticism, debate, and heated conversations across the internet. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with posts dissecting every detail of the video, every laugh, gesture, and word analyzed under a microscope. Critics were vocal, arguing that the video raised questions about pastoral conduct, spiritual responsibility, and the example leaders set for their congregations. Some felt that certain aspects of the celebration, whether playful behavior, personal interactions, or lighthearted jokes, did not align with what they considered appropriate for a pastor. These voices weren't just casual opinions. They came from people who had followed Todd's ministry for years, some feeling personally betrayed by what they saw as a deviation from expected decorum. Meanwhile, supporters were equally passionate, defending Todd's right to celebrate, to express joy, and to share authentic moments of his life. They argued that pastors are human beings, subject to emotions, joy, and even mistakes, and that condemning them for natural personal expressions was unfair. This division highlighted a deeper issue: the unrealistic expectations placed on spiritual leaders and the thin line between accountability and judgment. But beyond the public discourse, the story had a private dimension. Insider sources suggested that within the ministry, the video sparked quiet discussions, concern, and even frustration. Staff members reportedly faced a surge of questions from congregants, while some longtime supporters privately expressed confusion or disappointment. The leadership team had to navigate an unusual tension, defending a beloved pastor while acknowledging that perception matters deeply in ministry. The emotional toll on Mike Todd himself cannot be overstated. Pastors, especially high-profile ones, operate under constant scrutiny. Every action, every video, and every statement carries weight far beyond personal expression. According to insiders, Todd experienced intense pressure, not only to maintain his public image, but also to respond to both criticism and support in a way that preserved his ministry's reputation. He had to manage the fine balance between defending authenticity and addressing concerns from his congregation and followers worldwide. The controversy also sparked wider conversations about modern church culture. Observers began questioning how religious leaders navigate social media, personal branding, and public perception. How much transparency is healthy? How much expectation is fair? And what happens when the boundaries between private celebration and public scrutiny blur? These were not just abstract questions. They were at the center of the Mike Todd birthday debate, resonating with church members, social media users, and faith observers alike. But even with all this tension, one thing became clear: the situation was far from over. What started as a birthday video had now become a test of faith, leadership, and personal resilience. And just when the story seemed like it couldn't get any more intense, a revelation surfaced that changed the conversation entirely. A behind-the-scenes moment that no one expected and that would further complicate the public debate. Just when it seemed like the Mike Todd birthday video had reached its peak in public scrutiny, an unexpected revelation surfaced, one that sent shockwaves through both social media and the church community. Behind the carefully curated posts and celebratory footage, insiders revealed a side of the story that few had seen: the planning, intentions, and private moments that contrasted sharply with the public narrative. According to sources familiar with the situation, the video was intended as a joyful celebration among close friends and family, a personal expression of gratitude and happiness. However, what was meant to be intimate and positive was interpreted differently when taken out of context and shared with millions online. Every frame, every laugh, and every gesture was examined under the harsh glare of public opinion. The scrutiny was relentless, and it highlighted a recurring challenge faced by high-profile pastors: the struggle between personal authenticity and public expectation. What made the revelation even more controversial was the insight into the immediate aftermath. Staff members and close friends reportedly spent hours attempting to manage reactions, clarify intentions, and reassure concerned members. Behind the scenes, there was a palpable tension, a mixture of frustration, disbelief, and anxiety. How could a simple birthday video generate such an intense response? And more importantly, how would the pastor navigate the growing wave of criticism without alienating supporters or compromising his message? The situation also exposed the double-edged sword of influence. Mike Todd's popularity, charisma, and social media presence, which had previously been assets to his ministry, suddenly made him vulnerable. Followers expected perfection, moral clarity, and consistency, even in moments that were deeply personal. Any deviation, any human expression, was scrutinized, judged, and often misinterpreted. This revelation brought to light an uncomfortable truth. In today's world, being a public spiritual leader can blur the line between private life and public persona, and even well-intentioned moments can become lightning rods for criticism. Adding to the drama, whispers of internal debate surfaced. Some members reportedly felt torn between defending Todd's right to celebrate and acknowledging the concerns of others who questioned the appropriateness of certain behaviors. Discussions that normally stayed private now became part of a broader conversation, fueling speculation, rumors, and further commentary online. It was a pressure cooker of public expectation versus personal authenticity, and Todd found himself at the center of a storm he never anticipated. And then came the most critical moment, a subtle but significant interaction captured after the video went viral. People close to him noticed a change in demeanor, an awareness that this wasn't just social media chatter. It was a cultural and spiritual debate about leadership, godliness, and accountability. The pastor's response, measured yet resolute, reflected the complexity of balancing transparency, personal freedom, and moral responsibility. It was a moment that would define how this controversy was remembered, and it underscored the broader questions everyone was asking. What are the expectations for spiritual leaders? Can a pastor be human and still be godly? But even after these revelations, the story wasn't complete. While public reactions and insider details were heating up, there was one more layer to uncover: the long-term consequences, both personal and professional, that this birthday video would have on Mike Todd, his ministry, and the conversation around church leadership in the social media era. And what happened next would test loyalties, challenge perceptions, and spark debates that continue to this day. Once the video's backlash reached its peak, the real consequences began to emerge. What started as a birthday celebration quickly escalated into a high-stakes scenario that tested Mike Todd's leadership, reputation, and ability to navigate public opinion. Social media users continued to dissect the video frame by frame, while church members debated quietly and publicly about the appropriateness of the pastor's behavior. For Mike Todd and his team, this was more than just criticism. It was a test of resilience, judgment, and the ability to maintain credibility under pressure. Reactions were polarized. On one side, supporters emphasized Todd's humanity, reminding everyone that pastors are not perfect and deserve the freedom to celebrate personal milestones without judgment. These supporters pointed to the joy, authenticity, and sincerity in the video, arguing that the pastor's personal expressions didn't diminish his spiritual authority or his contributions to the community. For them, the celebration was a reminder that faith leaders are human, capable of joy and imperfection. On the other side, critics were vocal and unyielding. Many expressed disappointment, interpreting the video as a breach of pastoral decorum or a lapse in godly behavior. Some questioned whether certain actions, gestures, or interactions within the video were appropriate for someone in a spiritual leadership role. Across forums, social media, and comment sections, debates erupted about accountability, leadership standards, and the expectations placed on high-profile pastors in the age of instant digital scrutiny. Inside the ministry, the fallout was equally intense. Staff members and leadership teams faced the delicate challenge of managing both the pastor's public image and the congregation's responses. Private meetings reportedly focused on damage control, communication strategies, and reassurance to concerned members. There were attempts to contextualize the video, emphasizing that it was a private celebration meant for friends and family, not a public display designed to shock or offend. Yet despite these efforts, the controversy continued to ripple outward, drawing attention from media outlets, online commentators, and even casual observers who were curious about the viral discussion. For Mike Todd himself, the emotional toll was significant. High-profile pastors operate under constant observation, and a seemingly innocent personal moment can quickly become a public debate. Todd had to balance defending his authenticity with addressing concerns about public perception, all while continuing his ministry and leadership responsibilities. The pressure was immense. Every post, comment, or statement could either alleviate criticism or amplify it. The controversy also sparked broader conversations within faith communities. Observers began questioning how spiritual leaders should navigate social media, personal expression, and public scrutiny. How much transparency is healthy? Where is the line between private celebration and public expectation? Can a pastor maintain authenticity without facing judgment? These were not just rhetorical questions. They became the center of heated discussions, highlighting the growing tension between human imperfection and societal expectations for moral leaders. And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't escalate further, another layer emerged: the ripple effects on the congregation and followers. Members expressed mixed emotions. Some felt inspired by Todd's courage to show humanity, while others grappled with disappointment or confusion about what behaviors were acceptable for their spiritual guide. This division underscored a critical reality of modern ministry. The visibility afforded by social media amplifies both praise and criticism, leaving leaders vulnerable to intense public scrutiny in every aspect of their personal and professional lives. Ultimately, the fallout from the birthday video became more than just a viral moment. It became a case study in leadership, authenticity, and the challenges of navigating public perception in today's connected world. For Mike Todd, it highlighted the tightrope pastors must walk between personal expression and spiritual responsibility. For followers and critics alike, it sparked questions about accountability, morality, and the human side of those we often place on pedestals.